Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all good? I hope so. Y'all listen, let's get into episode 8, the season finale of Heart and Hustle Houston. It was titled The Secret's Out. And first, I'm going to talk about Alaina and Josh. And then in another video, I'm going to talk about Alaina and Munera. So let's get into this secret. Let's get into the recap of it all. So the episode picks up with Dr. Angela asking Josh what was the thing or things that he did. Josh finally says that he was making some investments that he felt were going to change their lives, and he didn't handle things correctly. He didn't talk things through with Alaina because he thought that he could handle things on his own, basically fix the problem before Alaina found out. So in Alaina's confessional, she says that Josh lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. She trusted him with their finances, but he was making investments and losing money. And this was happening for a year before she found out. And she didn't find out until there was something that she needed for the studio. And that's when he told her what was up. She had to sell her home and build her savings back up. So the producer asked her, why did she feel like it took her so long to say that? And Alaina said that she was embarrassed for not keeping her eye on everything, for fully trusting someone, and that she was embarrassed for staying because what he did was too hurtful for her to stick around. So Dr. Angela says that Josh broke the covenant of marriage by making those investments under the guise that he was doing it for them. So Josh says that he felt small, so he tried to do something in that moment that was going to change their lives, but Alaina didn't see it that way. She was like, we weren't in a bad place financially, so she doesn't understand why he felt the need to do that. And Dr. Angela wanted to know from Alaina, why did she think Josh made that decision? And Alaina said she didn't want to say it, but Dr. Angela was like, no, tell me, what do you believe? Because girl, look, ain't nobody got time to be sitting here playing these games and you over there trying to protect Josh's feelings. Get it out. So Alaina says because she was the breadwinner and she thinks that Josh wanted to be the breadwinner in that moment. And Josh, he didn't like that. He says that he has an issue with the breadwinner comment because there were other segments of the business that he was heavily involved in. So the business made a lot of money. But when the pandemic happened, he got scared because they both put their time and effort into it. And as a man at that point, he was only doing a makeup brand. He wasn't doing anything else. But Dr. Angela, she tells Alaina that she was dealing with a man who was insecure in his position in the house. And it didn't have anything to do with Alaina. Josh had his own expectations of himself, but he didn't feel like he was meeting them. But those expectations affected Alaina. And Alaina lets us know that has been a weight on her and it's going to affect the way that she trusts people in the future. Josh, he tells Alaina that he understands why she feels how she feels. He said that he wants the marriage, he wants Alaina, but he'll understand if she doesn't want that. Then he starts going into this spoken monologue, but Alaina says that a part of her doesn't feel like she has the capacity to continue on with the marriage. In her confessional, she said she just wanted the trust to be rebuilt. She wanted to feel safe and secure in her marriage again. She felt like it was nice that he brought it up and was taking accountability, but it's hard for her to get past those big hurts. And Josh, he just sitting over there, lip quivering, and Dr. Angela asked him what was he feeling. And like Alaina, he didn't want to say anything, but she told him to speak it. So he says that he feels like he let himself down and he let his family down. Okay, now let's get into my thoughts about all this. So let's start with the secret. For me, I felt like they only told us bits and pieces. At first, it came off as if they planned what to say. Then whenever Josh would start talking, he would look at Alaina, she would put her eyes down. Then sometimes when Josh was explaining what he did, he would do it in such a nervous manner that had me feeling like, is he scared that she may have found out something else and he's wondering if she's going to bring it up? Like the whole reveal was weird. It just felt like half truths or something. But I'm happy that the producer asked her, why did it take her so long to say what it was? Because the way Alaina would talk about the situation, you would think we needed to call up Olivia Pope or Annalise. Alaina was emotional from episode 1 to 7. Then we get to episode 8 and she's just sitting there, no emotions. Like, I'm trying to figure out what happened. Did they film this part later or something? It just was weird. And it's crazy how she was embarrassed for staying for the money situation, but she wasn't embarrassed to still marry him, even though she knew he cheated on her before the I do's. Because when she told it to Labrina, she didn't express it as embarrassment, which is crazy to me. But if it was all about losing money, it is what it is, because that's not a small thing and it's part of financial abuse. But like they say, if they'll lie, they'll cheat, and if they'll cheat, they'll steal. And Josh did all of that. His reason for making the investments didn't really make sense to me. Saying that you felt small, hey, there wasn't a good enough reason, in my opinion, for you to go out there and mess off the money like that. And you knew it was wrong, because if you felt like it was okay, you would have taken the idea to Alaina. There wouldn't have been any need for you to hide what you were doing, but I feel like he knew Alaina wouldn't see it as a good idea. She probably would have said no, and that's not what he wanted to hear. He didn't want to hear no. His whole goal was to prove to Alaina that he was just as good as she was, that he could make some things shake too. But the only thing he shook was that money right on up out of that bank account. Didn't tell her about the losses, but they say what's done in the dark always comes to the light. And I'm wondering, did Alaina talk to Josh first about the purchase, or did she try to make the purchase and that's when she found out, but went to him like she didn't know, just to see if he was going to be truthful? So when Alaina said that she felt like Josh made those investments because at that time she was the breadwinner and she feels like he was trying to prove that he could bring in the bacon too, but you know, his pigs got away, child. Josh felt a way about Alaina saying that she was the breadwinner because he says that he contributed to other parts of the business that helped make them a lot of money. And I don't know if the therapist asked what were the other areas of the business that he was involved in, because I would have asked and I would have wanted to know. And how did those areas of the business fund the bank account? Was it a direct transaction, or was it indicative of Alaina's skills as a makeup artist? Because if you're telling me that you were only a part of the makeup business and you didn't have any other streams of income of your own, do you see why Alaina would be considered the breadwinner? Being that she was the one doing the makeup that brought in the money? Because like you said, when the pandemic happened, we were sheltering in place. That meant no makeup was being done, which brings me back to what were the areas of the business you were involved in that brought you all a lot of money? Were those areas of the business also affected by us being sheltered in place? And if so, that still goes back to if Alaina didn't have any clients, there would be no money coming in. And if you go back to episode 1, Alaina told us that Josh quit his full-time job to focus on couples who work together. Now, that's how she phrased it. And she didn't think that that was a good idea. And she said that they put their businesses together. So what happened to his business? Because in 1 minute, she's saying he quit his job so that they could put their businesses together. So how many did he have? Two? You see what I'm saying? How they be talking and the stuff don't be adding up. And I know that he's a photographer because I've seen his IG page. So did he do something else outside of photography? But anyway, Dr. Angela basically tells Alaina that your husband was jealous of you and he wanted to prove to you that he can bring in the money. He didn't feel worthy of you. He wanted you to be proud of him, but the way that he went about it was wrong. And this is where Alaina confuses me. And I think she also confuses herself sometimes, because how can you say that you just wanted the trust to be rebuilt and you wanted to feel safe and secure in your marriage again? First of all, you didn't have any trust going into the marriage. Him cheating on you while y'all were engaged broke you, but you chose to marry him anyway. So that trust wasn't even there. You didn't give yourself time to work through that. So you weren't going to feel safe with someone who could go out and be with somebody else, probably physically, and come back home to you and be intimate. And even though You were hurt by him cheating and you didn't heal from it. You still had 2 kids. So not only have you experienced financial abuse, but also physical in the way of intimacy, because most often when a person cheats, it's sexual. Most of the time they do not use protection. And I'm not saying that he went in raw, because I don't know any of that. I wasn't there. All I'm saying is if he put that fire stick in somebody else and also put it in you, he could have downloaded you with a virus that you couldn't get rid of. And Josh, he wants the marriage to work. He wants to try to work it out. Alaina, she over it. And I really would have been over it once Dr. Angela asked Josh what was he feeling, and he said he let himself down and he let his family down. I don't understand why he didn't put his family first. It's like, read the room, Josh. You need to be putting your family first in this whole situation, this whole conversation. And by you answering the question like that, you are proving that you are trying to prove to yourself that you were somebody, that you could be just as good or better than your wife. And then you had the nerve to fall over in her chest crying. Boy, sit up straight. Were you crying when you were cheating? Were you crying when you were withdrawing that money out that bank account? Were you crying when you told her that you were making investments? Were you crying when you got put in the other room? Probably not. So sit up. And as I think about it, I wonder if Alaina's push for couples therapy was her way of setting the stage to make it seem like the therapy sessions helped her realize that she couldn't be married anymore. To sort of make the decision a little easier to explain to him. Because she was very adamant about couples therapy. And whenever she would talk about it, it was always that would be the first step in them healing and rebuilding their marriage and working through things. But hey, like I said, on her social media pages, it seemed like they were not together. Word on the curb was that she filed for divorce. And now she really posted, baby, talking about how she's at peace. She done moved on. She's been through so much that she can write a book. And I was like, girl, please, what's it going to be? A journal? You barely said anything on the show. So what we going to read in the book? Sure. But anyway. Tell me what y'all thought about the Josh and Alaina situation. What did you think about The Secret? Do you think it was more? Do you think they're leaving something out? Like, do you believe their story? Do you think they share everything? Let me know. Get down in the comments, okay? And we're going to talk about it. And I'll talk to y'all later.